What's up, y'all? Another episode of Recovery Plugs with my guest, Mr. Darren Jackson. What's up, Darren?
What's up, Donnie?
How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Brother, how are you?
I'm good. I'm awesome.
Amen.
This dude has been a major part of my recovery, man. Been there since day one. Recovery Plugs. We're trading in the dope plugs for the recovery plug, man. We're out here giving you what you need to get into recovery, and any way we can help you, all you got to do is ask. So, Mr. Darren Jackson. Man, I've been waiting on this dude for a minute. I love this dude.
Love you too, brother.
So what was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was, it started off with alcohol.
Alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol, man. I drank every now and then. I wasn't really a big drinker. So would you say that alcohol was what brought you to your knees, or how did tell me about your story with how alcohol got to you?
Well, alcohol was really the thing early on. Not until I was in my early adult years that I experienced alcohol, and I just remember being at a party and drinking some wine coolers, and it just, everything all of a sudden just went like, and I just felt like I was finally a part of instead of apart from. I felt like I could do anything at that point.
Put you on top of the world.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
I drank off and on for a few years, and my father died in 1992 in a car wreck, and I was just acting out bad, like just besides alcohol, I was just acting out really bad, and my family just considered me that black sheep of the family at the time, and everybody was mad at me. My mom, my aunt, and when my dad died, I went to the funeral, and everybody's like, it took me a while to get back to home because I was drinking. Drinking was more important, but I was just all the way I acted and stuff. So I decided to join the Navy because I figured now everybody can see me who I really am. And they, so I figured I'll show everybody now.
So you're a veteran.
I guess you could call it that. I went into the Navy. I went through boot camp. Went to my A school in Great Lakes. And I remember after boot camp, coming out of boot camp, we started going to our A school, and everybody would go to the bar, and it was just like what you did, and we'd go to the bar and drink, and then we'd come home. But after a while, it's what I did every night.
Right.
Like every day, I went to the bar and drank every single day, and it just became. Sometimes people talk about a line, an imaginary line, where you go from being a cucumber into being a pickle, and that's where I crossed that line in the Navy. So, I from that point on, I always drank every day. You know what I mean? I got into some incidents in the Navy where I went to captain's mast twice. And finally, the second time, they were just like done with me. They said I could have fought it if I wanted to, but at that point, they were telling me that I wouldn't be able to drink anymore. And I was like, this is not good, because that's getting in the way of my drinking. So I opted to just go ahead and get out. So I think I was in a year total.
In the military?
In the military.
So you were what do they call that? Unsuccessfully discharged?
Other than honorable discharge.
Other than honor.
I continued to drink when they put me on restriction when I was in captain's mast for 30 days, extra duty, and you're quarantined to the barracks and you can't leave, and I'd sneak out the window, and had I been caught, then I would have got really, I would have went to the brig or whatever.
Court-martial.
Yeah, I didn't care though, man. I had to drink.
So alcohol was so that when you left the Navy, where'd you go?
I moved to Kansas City. My mom and they all lived in Texas, and I lived there for a portion of my early adulthood. And there's no way I was going there. I was going back to Kansas City. We spent a part of my childhood in Kansas City, so I just came back here.
So you were in the Navy. You left. You got kicked out. What did you? What did you do? You just drank. So did you work a regular job, or how'd that work out? Like, how'd you support your alcohol problem?
Well, I worked on a daily basis. That went pretty well for a while. Now I lived in a house in East Side, 24th and Jackson. An ex-girlfriend's mom. I lived with them, and they allowed me to live there, and I was working every day. And finally,
your phone's got like a vibrating beat. I can feel it. Dun. Sorry, we're gonna take just 2 seconds.
Sorry about that. So when I lived there, everybody that lived in the house with me all moved out, and I was left there. And that's eventually I was just introduced to crack, and that was a monster for me, man. Because I remember I took my first hit at crack, and it just felt like the whole room just went boom, and I was like, I have arrived. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wow, that sucker punched me, and it was on then, you know. And then, like the next day, I'm like, I have like a cigarette and a half, and all my money's gone, and I don't know what to do. You know, I don't even have enough gas for the rest of the week and stuff. And I remember thinking all week long, like, anybody in recovery or anybody that's an addict like me has probably been through that time where you spend all your money in a matter of 24 hours on dope, and then Monday comes along and it's time to go back to work, and I'm borrowing money off of people so I can have enough gas to go to work for the rest of the week. I'm bumming cigarettes, you know what I mean? And I'm just fighting that and just trying to get through the week. And all week long, I'm saying to myself, I'm not getting high. I'm never buying that crack again, you know. It was good, but I don't like being broke during the week, you know. So I'm not doing that again. And, you know, payday comes and
Ding.
Yep. And I go from like Friday morning, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting high, you know. As soon as that check hits my hand, there I go, you know. And something happens up here to me.
Right.
My mind remembers when it made me feel better than anything else. Getting drunk and getting high for me is like a spiritual experience, you know what I mean? It does something
exactly
for
what you
me
mean.
here. It fixes whatever's wrong in my soul. It makes me feel complete. So, and then I go get high again, and I'll spend my whole check, and I'll be Saturday morning. I'll be thinking, you know, what happened, you know.
So how long ago was that? Like, just estimate.
That was in 1993.
Oh wow! So you've been
93. No, that was probably 94. I went in the Navy in 93.
So you've been smoking crack and drinking alcohol for 30-something years?
No, I didn't keep smoking crack.
Okay, yeah. Tell
Actually,
me what happened then.
I was so I continued to live on the East Side, and I ended up moving to Independence because of the crack. I figured if I get away from where crack is real heavy, then I'll be all right. I had gotten a job in Independence anyways, and I moved to Independence, get off that crack, and I would end up taking a cab back to the city to go get my crack. And then one day a friend of mine from Independence I worked with was like, "Here, try this instead." And it was crystal methamphetamine.
Alcohol to crack to meth.
I'll tell you what, man, like crack did something like bam, but meth just did a whole nother number for me, and it made me like, I don't know, like I get high on crack and I'm just like, I'm like everywhere, you know what I mean? Like my eyes are, you know what I mean? But meth did something else for me where I could talk forever.
Right.
You know, I just talk, and I felt like a part of.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like what alcohol did for me, and I really liked that. I really liked that.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like you definitely were filling holes with each one of these things: alcohol, crack, meth. Eventually, stuff's got to stop working. I mean, it never continues to work. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate to trying different things to make it work. So when did you realize that none of this stuff was going to work? Like, what were the events that led up to you saying, look, this stuff's just not working no more?
Well, for me, I think my story has been gradually over a period of time. Different times that I don't know if crack didn't work, but it just didn't work like meth worked. So for me, there's two different examples of when drugs and alcohol stop working. One of the examples is when bad things happen when I drink and drug. Like when I start getting DUIs, it's obviously not working too well on the outside,
Right.
but it's still working in here, and that's why I continue to do it. So when I'm married and I'm living in Odessa, and we have a 2-year-old daughter, and her 3 kids were living, and I'm getting loaded, and then I'm gone for 3 days. Well, I have a wife at home and a beautiful, cute little child, little girl, and I'm gone for 3 days, and then I come home, of course, and I would do that off and on, you know what I mean, and wonderful wife, you know what I mean, like so devoted to me, and would do anything for me and support me, and tried to do everything she could for me, but yeah, I'll be gone for 3 or 4 days, and obviously it's not working. You know what I mean, but it's still working on the inside, and that's why I continue to do it. So I don't think that's the answer to your question.
No, you're dummy. You're starting to tell it.
So there was a period there where I did get to a point where I was like, she was done. You know how many times I came home after 3 days and I was like, and my wife was like, why do you do this? Why do you do this, with tears running down her face? And my daughter, she's 2 years old, and she's telling me how she wants a new daddy because I don't play with her anymore. And like at that point, I'm like, well, I can't go on like this anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I'm never going to do this again. The next day, I go to the dope house. You know what I mean? Like, surely the one thing that would drive me to stop is that my family is telling me that they can't deal with this anymore, and I'm hurting them. And my own daughter says she doesn't want to have anything, she wants a new daddy, you know what I mean? Man, I still go and do it. Finally, I got to a point where I, excuse me, I started looking for treatment. I ended up getting a hold of Valley Hope in Boonville, and I got hooked up with. I had insurance through my job. I ended up going to Valley Hope, and it was a 30-day treatment, but I ended up only staying like 21 days or something. And I've been a little bit involved in some 12-step programs. There was one 12-step program I was involved with when I was in the Navy, because I went to treatment there, and they had it. You go to some meetings, and then going to Valley Hope, that was reintroduced to me, and the 12 steps were introduced to me, and they they told me what excuse me, what all the other treatment centers and detoxes always, they always tell you: get a sponsor, work the steps, go to meetings. And I remember when I left there, I still had a wife, I still had a family, and I remember when I left there, I was like, I need to do that, And I went to like 2 meetings, I think. Never had a sponsor, never did anything, and I went and got loaded again. But that treatment really, they helped me because they told me what I needed to do. They planted seeds with me. They really did. So I was grateful for Valley Hope.
So when did you decide enough was enough, and you made that step? Like, when was it? When did you just like really decide, like, this is it? This is when I'm gonna do it. Like, what triggered that?
To get to the point to work our program?
Oh, yeah, you actually did it.
It actually took me probably about, excuse me, It probably took me about 3 years.
Yeah.
I was living in Sedalia, and I was working at Tyson Chicken, and I was living with some people, and they had moved without me. They moved out of this house without me.
That was your wife and your daughter?
No, this is years after. I ended up getting divorced.
Okay.
But I'm on my own at this point. I'm living in Sedalia. My daughter is living with her mom up in Liberty, and I'm just so apart. I would go like a year without seeing my daughter, like maybe once a year. It was horrible. But after a while, I started to like. It just seems like the only normal life. I can't tell the true from the false.
Right.
I can't. I'm full flight from reality, and I'm not okay with it, but I'm dealing with it in a way that's just insane, you know. And so these people move out without telling me, pretty much, and so I'm left in this house, and the guy that owns it kicks me out, and I end up at this sober house that I'd been at before in Sedalia, and I asked this guy for help. He said, you gotta go to the police station, make sure you don't have any wants or warrants, and they were already closed. So I had I was homeless for that night, so I went and got a bottle, and I was gonna sleep at it's like a bus station museum, kind of like it used to be a bus station, and I was gonna sleep there, and I ended up meeting a woman there, and I ended up drinking that pint. The next thing I know, I come out of a blackout. I'm walking through somebody's backyard at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where I am. My glasses are gone. My phone's gone. I don't know what's going on, you know, and that really scared me. When I come out of blackouts and I don't know what's going on, those are the ones that scared me. And I made a decision that I needed to do something. I went back to that sober house. That guy hooked me up with ARC, Salvation Army downtown, and he drove me all the way up to Kansas City to take me to the Salvation Army ARC. And I got enrolled in their program, and I went through their program. It was like a 6-month program. I finished it, and that was another treatment I got to do. I was starting to look for ways to out of this thing, you know, and I always thought that if I could just get 30 days off of dope, I'll be all right. It's just this physical addiction. If I stop doing it for so, you know, then I'll be all right. And so I had like 6 months, and that's a long program to be in. And I thought, I'm good. So I went back to Sedalia and went back to that sober house. They let me have my job back at Tyson, and I'd been there a week. I was a shoulder cutter, and I'm cutting this chicken up, and this guy comes up to me on break, and he's like, "Hey man, we're going out to the car," and I didn't even think twice about it. I didn't even think twice. We went out to the car, you know, and I relapsed. The most insane thing for me to do sober is to take another drink or another drug.
Right.
And I did it that day, knowing I live in a sober house in a city where I don't know anybody, and I might get kicked out. You know what I mean? That's insane. Why would I do that?
I think I've gotten high in a sober house before. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
So I met you at a place called the Maple House.
Yeah. No.
First time I met you. Tell me about not the second time I met you, the first time I met you. Tell me where you ended up before, because I know something had happened and you ended up back out again before.
Oh, okay. So, well,
because when I met you, you guys were the two Darrens. There was you and another person named Darren. You were killing it.
The second time.
Was it the first? Was it the second time?
That was the second time.
I thought no, because I don't think there. Yeah, it was the second time. So the first time.
So the first time, after I just finished that story there, I went back to the Salvation Army like a month and a half after that. Got out of there, did like a year that time, and moved out with 2 other guys. We got an apartment, and I got loaded again. And then I had this job at Cascones, and I got so high one day that my buddy gave me some Klonopin, and I got on the bus and I blacked out and messed everything up. I ended up going to detox to save my job at Cascones, and
Detox at Heartland?
Heartland,
Yeah.
Detox.
That's
Great
ACBC,
place.
Heartland Detox.
ACBC, I'm sorry. Those people are awesome. Oh my gosh, those nurses.
Yeah.
Just, thank God for them, man.
Right.
Because when I'm down and out like that, I need a lot of help,
Yes.
and they definitely help. And so I went into there, and I met a guy that I was actually in the ARC with at one time, and he told me about this place called the Maple House. And I was like, Maple House? And he's like, it's this place where they do 12-step work there, and they have meetings there, and you live there.
Right.
And he said, and I had like 3 months, and I was like, whoa.
Right.
Like, I had never seen this dude, like, wow. And that really stuck with me. I had been told about the Beacon House back in 2000, but I just wasn't interested in doing anything like that at that time. I was really young. So I heard about the Maple House, and that was 2014. And I called up there, and I talked to a guy, the manager. Can I say his name?
I mean, yeah, he came if you want.
His name, John.
John. Yeah.
And he said, I remember him telling me, man, he's like, call me every day. And by the way, like, don't be so hard on yourself because you didn't have a choice.
Right.
I was like, what? Like, what do you mean I didn't have a choice?
He was really good at one-liners.
Yeah, really good at one-liners.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He always said the right things, for sure.
That really struck something here with me, and I was like, became really interested. And that's right, I ended up going there, and I don't know. I already been into some treatments and some sober houses, but this place had something different about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I got there, and when I got there, I had this Ziploc baggie full of roll-up tobacco, but all it was just like dust,
Right.
you know. And I'm rolling up this dust, tobacco dust, and you light it, and it's like one of those cartoons, and the ash goes, burns up, you know. But John gave me a pack of cigarettes, man. I'll never forget that. Los Sabres. That's what they were called, Los Sabres, and that was like gold to me, you know.
So what? That wasn't the last time. So what happened? And
so I got there, and they said get a sponsor, and one of the things that was going around the house, I started hearing people talk about hitting their knees. And I was like, I don't need to do that to just surrender. You know what I mean? That sounds stupid. I hit my knees. Come on. And the thing, when I heard Anthony Payton talk about it, I was like, that dude's hitting his knees. I was like, I might as well try something. You know what I mean? Like right at this point, I've been seeing doing a lot worse than hitting my knees. So I gave it a try, and it's the coolest thing happened, man. After about a week and a half, it was similar to the experience I had with alcohol and drugs. That everything just went, you know what I mean? And I started to slow down, and I started to feel something here. And I got a sponsor. I worked the steps, and at one point they made me a assistant manager of the house, and I did pretty good, man. I did the best I've ever done. I've never been able to put like 30 days together without being miserable or something, you know.
Right.
But now I had some peace, and it went pretty good for a while. Until it didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
I stopped doing it.
Just stopped working the
Stopped
steps.
doing it. I know part of my problem was I really wasn't willing to work with others. I was like, oh, that guy, I'm not doing all that. I mean, I'll do all this over here, but I'm not doing that. That guy doesn't even want to do anything. Why would I want to help him? You know, so I was still very, very selfish.
Right.
Very selfish.
So I remember. Can I tell what I remember about it? I remember you.
I lived upstairs.
Yeah, and I remember you you breakdance like when you had went back out, you went out hard, and I remember you were the breakdancing type, like like there was no doubt about it that you had went back out. You know, you could see the dramatic transformation of you when you were clean to when you weren't. And I remember the story you telling about how you had seen raccoons through the thing, and you were having all these delusional state. So I mean, you could tell that you were spiritually broken. You could tell that you were physically broken. You could tell that you were just. I mean, I could tell when you were there, and I was high. Like I was still high at the time. So when I came back, you were there. You know what I'm saying? You were back, like, and you were just completely different man again. And you were, you know what I'm saying? What happened? I mean, because I wasn't there to see that. I didn't get to see. I didn't get to see you come back and do it right this time. And I know this was 5 years ago, and you're still clean. So what happened? I mean, what was so different this time? What was it that was it?
That pain and misery, that misery out there, it stopped working. Finally, it looks like sometimes we see somebody in their lives in shambles because of the use of drugs and alcohol, and they're ruining everything, but it still works on the inside. But when it stopped working on the inside, I was like, well, now what do I do? Like, the one thing my go-to doesn't work anymore. Now what do I do? And I remember the Maple House. I remember a time in my life that had more peace than I ever experienced in my life. You know what I mean? Something that really did work, but I was scared to going back. I had a lot of pride, and I didn't know what to do. I called Stan, and I was like, man, what do I do? He's like, go back to the Maple House. I was like, okay, where do I? Okay, that brokenness on the inside became greater than the pleasure I was getting from drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, I've seen you go hard. I mean, you've gone hard for your recovery, dude. Like when I first got back, and you were the manager of the house, and you made sure everybody was on top of what they were trying to do. You had probably one of the hardest positions to have in a recovery house. First, just in recovery, kicking people out, and I mean, these were things that you had to do, and how did that help you out? How did that make you stronger in your recovery?
You mean kicking people out, or just
the whole thing? I mean, the whole process, because I know it's a selfish program. So everything that we did early in our recovery was for our recovery. So I mean, how did it help yours? That's a big job, dude. You're in charge of what, 30 men at that time?
So you're talking about, what happened, what's changed, like the first time I was at the Maple, and what happened. That's that position.
Yeah.
That position saved my life.
How? Because
I get to be of service to others. I get to help others. The tough decisions you have to make, we can't enable people. You know what I mean? So having to throw people out of the sober house because they're not, because otherwise I'm buying into what I'm telling them. It's your behavior is okay. And it's not, and that's not what that behavior is not going to get you sober.
Right.
So that saved my life. Them asking me to manage the Maple House was it was the only thing that saved me, because that was the difference. You know what I mean? I was thrown into service work. You know what I mean? It was go to work 8 hours a day with Miguel.
Everybody remembers Miguel.
And then come home and be of service.
Right.
And helping new guys come in and telling them what to do when people have problems, and being there. And that's what we do. We don't do this alone.
So you worked a regular job and you was a manager? I don't remember. I mean, I remember you working with Miguel. I just didn't remember if it was the same thing. So how would you describe your first year of recovery? Like, any, like, what steps did you take to get to where you felt more comfortable, where you finally felt relaxed and that you could continue to move?
Just continue to work those steps.
Yeah.
They had implemented one of the guys that was alumni there had brought in one of this program where you work the steps over and over and over, like in a month,
Right.
and you work them again in a month. And I would lead that meeting, and the steps are paramount. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just do the steps once and then it's over. It's an ongoing process, and the more times and more ways I can work the steps, it's important.
I mean, one of the reasons I was really happy about interviewing you is because I've seen how serious you take all this. Like, this is your life, 100%, no doubt about it. When you talk to Darren Jackson, it is 100% you are recovery. I mean, you what do they say? They symbolize, or I don't know, signify. Maybe that's what signify recovery. So you're an amazing story, man.
It still goes back to the pain and suffering, and that last day I felt, I believe it was just separation from God.
Yeah.
It's just complete separation from complete.
Were you a godly man before you? I mean, were you raised?
I was raised in a Christian home. My dad didn't really go to church, but Mom took us to church. We went to Sunday school in the morning service, Sunday night service, Wednesday night Bible school.
So you have friends out there. A lot of people that love and care about you.
Yeah, everybody's great.
And they've got questions. And like I said, it's one of my favorite parts because I don't have to come up with the questions no more because I can just read these and so yeah, first person, Coach Bob.
My friend.
Yeah, he pretty much everybody I know he knows because he's touched everybody's freaking life. What is the best part of helping people obtain and retain their recovery?
The best part of it? Oh man, I get to do for them what somebody did for me, and I don't know that I could ever repay that. But I can try. I'm grateful for Eric and anybody that's ever helped me, sponsor me.
So you're one of your best friends and colleagues and co-workers, Anthony. He'll be. I'm going to try to get him on here next. So
really?
Yeah, that's my next guest, hopefully. What is the greatest gift that you have received in recovery besides being clean and sober? I bet I know the answer to this one.
That's kind of tough, though. I hope. I mean, man, that relationship with my daughter is.
I knew it. Called it.
Cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that, and then it's the fellowship.
Yeah.
The fellowship, it's awesome too.
Yeah, I see the relationship with your daughter. It's awesome. It really
Thank you.
is. Yeah.